36th annual episode of the Have Aloha Will Travel podcast.
It's not the 36th annual episode. It can't be annual.
It's our
that
annual.
That means you've been doing it for 36 years.
Yeah. We've been around for a long time. Significantly longer than I've been alive. It is our 36th. This annual sounds so much better than bi-weekly, that's why.
You can't just say our 36th episode.
Yeah, but it sounds better.
Make up...
You can make up whatever you want. It's our podcast. It's our 36th bi-weekly annual episode of the Have Aloha Will Travel podcast. I am your co-host today, Kevin Allen. With me, as always,
Catherine Toss-Boxer with Hawaii Magazine, and we have our editorial intern, Kailua,
hey, Kailua,
with us. We are just going to jump right into it. Before we do that, though, we should do the shout-outs early. We've been failing to do this, Kevin.
Oh, the shout-outs?
HawaiiMagazine.com. Yes. Actually, we're going to be talking about a story that we're publishing on HawaiiMagazine.com.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about three
everyone
stories.
Everyone should check out.
In fact.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we'll jump right into it then. So we, Kailua, Kat, and I have decided to do this series where we go to 3 very popular towns on Oahu and just kind of check them, see what it's like, see if they're kind of coming back from the whole COVID-19 thing, or a lot of them aren't, as we'll probably get into today, but just kind of what the current situation is. So I went to Haleʻiwa yesterday. Kat, where'd you go?
Oh, I went to Waikīkī. I mean, I always go to Waikīkī, so it was a little bit unfair, but...
Okay.
Yes. And Kailua?
I was in Kailua.
Kailua was in Kailua. Sorry, Kat, one quick thing. Your computer is reflecting off your glasses.
Oh.
Real quick.
That's okay. I was looking at some data, actually.
Some data?
Well, the Hawaii Tourism Authority releases every day how many Hawaii passengers arrive by air. So I just wanted to put into perspective, why we decided to do this series. So last year, we had about 35,000 passengers arriving in the islands daily, and that included residents and visitors. But right now it's actually up. We're like 2,600 arrived yesterday. And yesterday marked 16 weeks since the state's mandatory 14-day self-quarantine for all passengers arriving in Hawaii from out of state. And of those 2,600, let me look real quick, we had 737 people identify themselves as visitors. And of that number, 618 were going to Oahu. So that's kind of why, part of the reason why we decided to do these 3 Oahu towns, because most visitors are coming here to this island in particular, and it's easier for us because we don't have to travel to other islands to do it. Yeah.
A lot of our content is maybe being a little Oahu-centric recently because we're like everyone else. Traveling is pretty tough for us right now, and we're all based on Oahu. So, I mean, I think these 3 towns, though, really give kind of a good... status update, just because these are really the towns when it comes to where people are visiting and where a lot of our tourism, market is, and a lot of businesses that rely on tourism can be found in these towns. So, Kat, your article, currently your article is the only one that's up on our website, but when this podcast goes up, her Kailua article will also be up at the same time, so people can find that on HawaiiMagazine.com, HawaiiMagazine.com, HawaiiMagazine.com.
I wish I had a thing I should hold it up, HawaiiMagazine.com.
You can find it in the show notes, which can also be found on HawaiiMagazine.com. Kat, what's up with Waikīkī, man?
First of all, I am in the office.
You are.
I forgot to mention, for those of you who are watching on Facebook and YouTube.
You can tell because your lighting is the most fluorescent.
Is it?
Yeah, or it's the most office lighting.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle and I,
what you gonna do?
Above ground level, we get the real sunlight.
Yes. I miss my office. I have my Stanley TV magnet. It's still here.
There's my desk behind you.
Chris Hemsworth squid. Your desk looks terrible.
Yeah, it's a real crapshoot.
Anyway, yes. So I I wrote my blog on Waikīkī.
Yep.
So yeah, we can talk about it. I go to Waikīkī all the time, and
you're
even
like an
when well, I'm not the expert, but you know, I grew up on Oahu. Waikīkī was always a place that I went to even as a kid, and I've seen the evolution of Waikīkī over the past, I don't know, 4 decades. But you know, it was really interesting to see when the state went into it, shut down in March, like such a huge difference. I mean, even from then until now, I feel like, I mean, you guys know there's more traffic now. There's more people at the mall.
Yeah.
There's more people kind of out and about. But in those first weeks, I mean, Waikīkī was empty because beaches were off limits. A lot of parking areas were shut down. Restaurants and like stores were all closed. Hotels were closed. You would only see people coming in like to surf or to walk. So a lot has changed since March. So when I went a couple of weeks ago, specifically for this story, I walked the whole length of Kalakaua and I walked parts of Kuhio Avenue. Those are 2 streets that run parallel to each other. They're the main streets in Waikīkī. And I wouldn't say that it's returned to any normal level by any means, but you definitely see more people walking around than you did in March, but nothing like what you saw like last summer. Like last summer, it would be just packed.
Oh, I mean, every summer.
Festivals. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have festivals every weekend. There's always something to do in Waikīkī, and now everything is shut down. Restaurants were open for dine-in and takeout. Starbucks was open. I think they had some outdoor seating, which you don't see much anymore. And a lot of shops are open. So it's kind of coming back to life. And I feel like if you are here after you do your mandatory 14-day quarantine, which was going to be on August 1st, but that was postponed. It's kind of a nice time to be in Waikīkī, just because I can get my Quinamon from Beef Patisserie at Kona Coffee Purveyors without having to stand in a long line. And you know what I mean? There's just some things I think for residents, it's made it really pleasant.
I think
to come back to Waikīkī
is definitely like the most, like I've wanted to go there the most than I have ever before because it's so uncrowded now. And, you know, Waikīkī really is a beautiful place. I mean, the beaches are beautiful. The district is really gorgeous. And I think what always scared a lot of residents away, specifically like residents like me who are from the countryside who don't really interact with like a lot of big crowds. It was really interesting to see. I think you're right. When the quarantine or when the COVID really first started happening, Waikīkī was a ghost town. That was the most kind of eye-opening thing for me, was just not seeing anyone in the street at all. You could drive through Waikīkī, no traffic. And that never happens. How is the beach now?
Yeah.
Is it still is it crowded again?
I mean, on the weekends for sure.
Yeah.
I think people have gone back to work, and some kids are in summer school. But summer in general in Hawaii, beaches are always crowded anyway with like residents, right, and kids. So the surf breaks are crowded, as you know. Beaches, there's a lot of people like middle of the day. But definitely the weekends are packed. I think more locals are, like you said, they're trekking to Waikīkī because they feel like they can.
Yeah.
You know?
What day did you go to check things out? Was it a weekday or was it a weekend?
I went on a weekday, but I also went on 4th of July.
Oh my God. How was 4th of July?
Kind of nuts.
Kind of nuts, yeah.
Yeah, they had tents set up like all the way down Kuhio Beach, and I mean, it was crazy. I mean, these are all like residents that decided to spend the day. It was a beautiful weekend, it turned out.
Yeah.
So people were kind of taking advantage of it. But it was what's been crowded are the attractions. So the Honolulu Zoo reopened, Waikiki Aquarium reopened, and I will say the zoo is a little nuts. I go pretty often because of my son, but the line to get into the zoo went all the way into the parking lot. I've never seen that before.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't like people were social distancing, and that's why there was a long line, because everyone was standing 6 feet apart. It was just that many people. And when you get into the zoo, they forced you to walk one way through the whole zoo. So that it ended up taking us 2.5 hours to get through the zoo, when we would normally do it in like 40 minutes.
Oh, wow. Huh, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like that is kind of something you see right now more, though, is like things that are open to the public that are like you know, it's something you take your family to or your kids to, because a lot of parents have their kids with them right now, and like you see a lot of, I think, residents taking advantage of these things that they might not have normally, you know? Like when I went to Ho'omalohi'a Botanical Garden, it was pretty packed in there. Like, and it was a lot of residents just like, you know, I don't know if they're, you know, maybe they're unemployed right now, or they just don't have anything to do at the moment and they just need something to, you know, pass the time. But I feel like you definitely do see like a larger contingency of people at those attractions. What's what are some of your recommendations if you're going to Waikīkī right now?
I would recommend walking along Kalakaua like I did and just seeing what's open and visiting some of the smaller shops. Well, then go in the morning.
It's so hot.
Or go in the evening.
Man, when you told me how you walked like all of Waikīkī, how did you do that without getting heat stroke? Waikīkī is like the hottest place on the earth.
You're such a drama queen, Kevin.
It's too hot. I get sunburned just looking at Waikīkī.
Anyway.
Sorry, go ahead.
What would I do? Diamond Head, the hike to Diamond Head is closed, so you can't do that. But I think it's a good time to walk. I don't know if you guys have ever walked Waikīkī at night, which is one of my favorite things to do. But it's so packed normally when there's visitors. But it's so nice because you can see the sunset. It's cooler for people like Kevin. Restaurants are open. I don't know. It was just, I think it's nice to go at that time of day.
Are a lot of restaurants open?
Yeah.
Like if you want to go get something to eat, you can find a spot. Are they open late?
Oh yeah, a lot of restaurants are open. Huh?
Are they open late? Because I know a lot of businesses have like shorter business hours for COVID.
Right. I think more places are open like at night, actually,
Really?
like dinner. So a good place to go to is Basalt, which is on Kuhio Avenue, and it's part of the ABC stores. But they have a lot of open air seating in their restaurant, and I think that's a really nice place. I mean, it's not normally crowded, but it's very empty now, and I mean, take advantage of that.
Yeah,
I would recommend that. I would recommend going to places that maybe you were intimidated to go to.
Maybe
before.
I'll surf Queens.
Huh?
Maybe I'll surf Queens, you know.
No thanks.
Drop in on you.
Oh yeah, why don't you come down? Come down on your little board and see if you get run over.
No way, dude. I'm a longboarder now.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude. I'm all about cross-stepping the deck, getting toes on the nose. Rah, get out of the water, get in a side bowl. Get my VW bus, man. I'm working on some dreads right now.
Oh, why don't you show everyone who can see you with your new mohawk, frohawk, mullet,
Oh man,
whatever.
My girlfriend gave me a frohawk, mohawk. I don't know what it's called. I love it.
You called it a mullet yesterday.
I called it a mullet. I think it is a mullet though. Not anymore.
No.
It used to be a lot more shaved. It's
Since
all.
when? Since yesterday?
Huh? Yeah, dude. My hair grows out really quick. Like I get shaggy pretty fast.
What happened to the pink tinge? Is there some pink?
There
in
used
your
to
hair?
be. Oh, it used to be black, but then I surfed, and you know, you spend enough time in the water, all hair dye just leaves your hair immediately. But shoot, what were we
These are
talking
Kevin
about?
problems. Who knows, Kevin? You just interrupted and went off on a tangent. Let's move on to a different town.
Oh wait,
Jeez.
I'm so sorry. I have one more question. Two more questions.
Okay.
How are the
God.
marketplaces? Like international marketplace, are they mostly open? Like the stores in the marketplaces?
Not all the stores are open in International Marketplace.
Yeah.
But a lot of the restaurants are.
Oh, okay.
And some stores are open, and some stores have closed for good. So
Yeah.
that's kind of tragic to see. But the parking is still available, and it's free validated parking up to 3 hours for like a $10 purchase or something, which is pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
And they have great parking, you know.
Oh,
they have
yeah.
lots of parking
It's
there.
the best place to park.
You're right in the middle of Waikīkī.
International
so,
marketplace. Everyone, go park there. And I had one more question. What are some maybe more iconic businesses or businesses people might know that have closed permanently? Were there a lot in Waikīkī or?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. I know that Moose's McGillicuddy's closed permanently.
That is good news and bad news. It's good news because that was the worst bar ever, man.
It was terrible.
It was terrible, but also it was so Waikīkī. Like
that's true.
It was iconic, you know. At the end of a really bad night, if you want to make it worse, go to Moose's McGillicuddy.
Were you ever old enough to go to Moose's? I feel like
when
that's
I turned
not
21,
even your generation.
When I turned 21, I did a bar crawl across Waikīkī, and we ended it at Moose's, and it was terrible.
That's a terrible place to end.
But I got a lot of free drinks though, man. You turn 21, just tell people you turn 21 and you'll get free drinks like the whole night.
You heard that, Kyla. Although you're over 21, you can still pass for under 21.
You can still pass, yeah. I don't think.
Look at you, Kevin. Actually.
All right, we'll move on.
Anyway,
Kyla,
moving on.
Kailua.
Kailua.
What's it like over there?
It was still, like, definitely not as crowded as it usually is. Like, nowhere is, but there were still a good amount of people. It looked like both residents and visitors.
Oh, really?
The beaches, I was a little surprised at how they looked. There were a lot of people, and I guess on the beach it's a little more difficult for people to remember to social distance. So I saw some people who were definitely not 6 feet apart. But something that also surprised me was that no one was wearing masks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even when they were just sitting down, people were just out in the open, which is a little... I was a little surprised because I've mostly been at home, and when I go out, I just go to the grocery store, and everyone's wearing masks.
Were they wearing masks around the town, or was it specifically at the beach where they weren't wearing masks?
Specifically at the beach, they weren't wearing masks, but around town, most people were wearing masks.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And sorry, when you say beaches, you're specifically referring to like Lani Kai Beach and Kailua Beach Park.
Yeah.
I feel like that's... Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually kind of not surprised to hear that beach is still incredibly crowded. How is the parking over there? Did you find parking?
The parking was not difficult to find, but it was still pretty packed. Like, there were definitely open spaces, both in the shopping centers and at Kailua Beach Park and near Lani Kai, but it wasn't empty. Like, there were a lot of cars. I think the last time I went to Kailua Beach Park, this is kind of embarrassing to admit, but it was in December with some friends, and it was kind of a rainy day, and that day, like, we weren't worried about COVID-19, and the parking lot was completely empty because it was just a little overcast.
Huh.
But when I went a couple weeks ago on a Thursday, there were maybe 5 or 10-ish open spots when I got there, and then by the time I left, it had filled up.
I was gonna say, I mean, even finding open stalls, I feel like, is pretty rare at either of those beach parks. I mean,
let's get back to what was so embarrassing about like your December visit to like.
I just
get over that.
I mean, just that I live here and I don't go to the beach that often.
Oh man.
Or I wish I could go more, but it's all my friends were still in college at that time. We were just home for winter break, so it was one of the only times of the year I'd gotten to see them. So that's why it was embarrassing.
Before I started surfing and got this job, I would maybe go to the beach like once every 2 to 3 years.
What?
Yeah, dude, I didn't care about the beach.
What did you do for fun?
What did I do I played Magic the Gathering, that card game.
That's not cool.
Which is pretty much the opposite of going to the beach, I realize now.
Yeah. You're not even pretending to go to the beach in Magic.
No. Well, I'm not going to get into it.
It's too deep.
It's too deep. How are the businesses in Kailua?
The businesses.
Were a lot open? Like, were a lot of people, like, open? And the seating. I'm curious about both.
Yeah, a lot of businesses seem to be open. Most of them were open only for takeout, but I know a couple, like Boots and Kimos, recently opened for dine-in services also.
Oh, really?
I didn't dine in anywhere, and so I didn't spend too much time in Kailua that day, so I didn't get to see exactly what was open and what was not.
Mm-hmm.
But it looked like a good number of them were open for takeout.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad. Kailua's a fun town. Ever since we did that island guide, I've kind of wanted to go back, or that Kailua town guide, which is right there, in fact. You can find...
Which you can buy on our Shopify site.
Yeah, and that article is also up on hawaiimagazine.com, the ultimate guide to Kailua. hawaiimagazine.com. This is for Dawn at this point, our publisher. Well, how many is it? 38 things?
38 reasons we love Kailua right now.
That's a good cover.
It's a lot of...
Yeah.
Our art director, Kayla, had to get up pretty early to take that cover. A little behind-the-scenes action. She had to get up. She had to put cones up.
I think they were there for 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, waiting for that shot.
Waiting for it. And it's perfect. We got the shot. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about Kailua? Any recommendations, parking, miscellaneous?
Recommendations, I think I really like going to bookstores, and I saw that Bookends, which is a local bookstore, is still open.
Oh, that's
they
awesome.
do have, I'm pretty sure most places in Kailua also have, where they limit people, the amount of people who can go into stores. So just be aware of that if you go to any of these businesses, but it's always good to support local businesses. So if you can, check those out.
Definitely.
Something else that I mentioned in the article is 22 Kailua, which is a coffee bar and also a sushi bar at nighttime.
Oh.
But right now, obviously they're closed for dine-in, but they're doing a special sushi bento for $22. And Kelly Shiroma, who we interviewed a few podcasts back, had done a little feature on them. So you could also check that out on Frolic if you want to. Or you could also check out our previous episode where we talked with Kelly Shiroma, because she talks a lot more about that.
Look at her.
You've learned so
Kevin, you're
much.
fired.
Dude.
Yeah.
This is,
Kevin, you're
man.
gone.
This is just the cycle, you know. The intern just takes the associate editor position, which is exactly what happened last time.
Yes, exactly. So Kevin went to Haleʻiwa.
I was in Haleʻiwa yesterday.
When were you there yesterday? Is that right? So this would be Thursday.
Another Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm from there. Born and raised in Haleʻiwa. Born and raised. NSB, North Shore Boys.
Stop. No.
An Eva bird tattoo next.
Please don't.
I love Haleʻiwa. It's changed a lot in the past half decade. There's a lot of new stores, but I still think that the general vibe and energy in Haleʻiwa as a surf town and like kind of the epicenter of the North Shore, I think it's still a great place to visit. So I went on Thursday to check out, what was different. And I think kind of like you guys, I've noticed that people have returned, just not at the same volume. I think in my Instagram story, I likened it to a gentle hum compared to the electrifying buzz that it used to be before. But no, it's, walking around on a Thursday at like 2 p.m., it was still, there was still foot traffic. But man, it's pretty empty compared to before. Like, for example, one of the first places I visited to see how things were doing was the shrimp truck, the big shrimp truck food court that is kind of, if you're coming into Haleʻiwa from town, it's like the first thing you see on your right after you pass that 7-Eleven. And that was empty. There was no one there. Giovanni.
But the truck's open?
The trucks were open. Yeah, almost every single truck was open. But Giovanni Shrimp Truck, which normally has a line 20 people deep, it was empty. I mean, I sent you a picture, Kat, and it was like 3 people. And those people had just walked up. Before that, there was no line at all. And every single stall in that parking lot, which again is normally insane. Normally you need like a traffic guy directing people in and out of that parking lot, but every single stall was open. So I was stoked about that, because normally when I do something in Haleʻiwa, I pick one place to park and then that's where I'm parked. I'm not going to drive anywhere else because it's a pain in the butt. But now I could just drive from every single location I wanted to visit it because there were parking everywhere. But I was happy to see that all the shrimp trucks were open. Even Jenny's, which is like kind of across the street, a little further up the road, they were open as well. The Starbucks over there is open again too. It's just takeout though. And I was talking to a few of the shrimp truck people, and they were telling me that the weekdays are still very slow, but the weekends actually tend to do pick up traffic a little bit, and I've experienced that as well, just driving to like my parents' house, and they live in Sunset, which is just past Haleʻiwa. Just driving to their house on the weekends, you definitely get a lot more traffic going in and out of Haleʻiwa. But on Thursday when I went, it was like just no cars on the road. I was able to take a picture with no cars on the road, which was surprising.
I know a lot of my friends have been taking advantage of this and going on the weekends, like doing these like road trips to the North Shore. And a lot of them are like, I haven't gone in years because it's just always so crowded.
That always surprises me when I hear that. Like, people don't come to the North Shore for years.
Okay, but you didn't come to town for years.
Yeah.
When you lived out there.
Well, no.
It was the same thing.
You would have to. I would have to go to town because there isn't enough on the North Shore to like live off of. Like you have to go into town.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I think that the North Shore, at least to residents, has gotten this reputation that on the weekends in particular, it's super packed where you're just sitting in traffic, and it's a one-way or a two-lane highway, and nobody wants to waste their weekend. But now there's not as many visitors, there's not as many cars on the road.
100%.
So they're taking advantage.
Yeah, I definitely see that. And a lot of the shops in Haleʻiwa, past the food truck, are open. There's the there's a North Shore Marketplace, which is the first marketplace you come up on your right, and then just past that, maybe half a mile, there's the Haleʻiwa Marketplace, which was the newly constructed one. They have all the new shops. They have the Whalers General Market. They have the TNC Surf Shop. They have there was a Sand People there, but they're closing. I'll get into closing businesses in a second. But it kind of makes sense to me because there's actually another Sand People just up the road. So I don't understand why they had two, but the one in the Haleʻiwa Marketplace is closing down. And I went there to check it out, and yeah, a lot of the galleries were open, which I thought was kind of cool. There's not the Clark Little Gallery, but there's one right next to it that's just kind of a general Hawaii artist gallery. They have like Chris Goto's work, they have Sarah Caudle, they have pieces from a few other people that you can also get framed there. They're open, which is happy to see. I bought my girlfriend a gift at Mahina, which is another little boutique gallery. They are open as well. And yeah, all businesses required masks, there were payment options set up in place to where you wouldn't, spread germs, no cash at a lot of places. So have card, because they didn't want to handle money, So it was no cash at actually quite a few places. And, got a bit of a pop-up, but we're still here. We're still good. But one of the things that was really heartbreaking to see was that there were a couple long-time businesses that are closing. One of them was a soap cellar, which is, you would smell the place before you would even see it. It had the most fragrant soaps you could ever imagine, all locally made. And they've been in Haleʻiwa since 2000. So after 20 years, they were doing a closing sale. Maybe the sadder part about all this is that now is a really good time to buy things because there's some closing sales happening. So everything's like 25 to 30% off in the store. But I was really sad to see them go. I applied for a job there one time. I didn't get the job, but I applied. That was how I found jobs in high school. You just go to every single business down the road and ask for a resume or application.
Okay, good career tip from Kevin.
Yeah, if you're a 16-year-old listening to the Have Aloha Will Travel podcast and you need a job, there's a tip. Another place I applied to...
Not during a pandemic, Kevin.
Oh, actually, a lot of places were hiring.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think maybe specifically in Haleʻiwa, because Haleʻiwa does tend to see a lot of transient visitors, transient locals. So people who come here, they live here for 3 to 4 years, And I think a lot of them might be leaving right now because times are getting pretty tough and it's really expensive to live in Hawaii. So I think a lot of businesses in Haleʻiwa are actually looking for people. Sorry, that's a tangent. But there are a lot of now hiring signs. Another place that is closing that I also applied to is Oceans and Glass. It's the glass. You always see it when you drive into Haleʻiwa. It's that big glass blowing studio, and there's always or a lot of times there would be someone actually blowing glass like right in the front window, so you could watch them work. They're closing, and they've been around there forever. I mean, since I was a kid. I don't even know how long they've been open.
That's like 15 years, Kevin, since you were a kid. I'm just saying.
Actually, you're not wrong. I was 10 years old 15 years ago. But, yeah, they're closing down, and that was really sad to see because, Haleʻiwa is definitely losing a lot of its long-time businesses. Right across the street from there, the boutique my mom worked at, which had been open for 40 years, they shut down, half a year ago, a few years ago, actually. But, it's kind of a bummer to see all these, really long-time businesses closing down, but I think COVID has kind of shown us that no one's safe, really. Funny story, though, I did apply to that glass-blowing place, but they're accepting, or, like, on their door, they're like, we're looking for new artists to come in and, like, blow glass for us. And I was like, cool, I'll apply.
Wait.
Okay, hold on. The story's not
Okay.
over. And so I went in and I was like, hey, excuse me, can I get an application for this, like, I don't know, glass blowing job? And the manager came up to me and was like, have you ever, like, blown glass before in your life? And I was like, I have no idea what you're even talking about. So I didn't even get an application. Yeah, so
How
Haleʻiwa,
did you get this job at the magazine? Like, what?
because
you just walk in
I
and
applied
just
to
apply?
every SPJ internship.
Oh my gosh.
That's just the Kevin Allen way. Parking, though, is fantastic in Haleʻiwa right now. You can park anywhere. It's great. Even the Haleʻiwa marketplace, the newer marketplace that was built, that parking lot is normally so hard to find parking in. But, I mean, half the lot was empty, more than half. So you can park pretty much anywhere over there. I also went to Ali'i Beach Park, which is the beach park. It's not Haleʻiwa Beach Park. This always confuses me. Haleʻiwa Beach Park is closer to Haleʻiwa Elementary, which is more towards the mountainside. But if you're going towards the North Shore, you'll run into another beach park, which is called Ali'i Beach Park, or Haleʻiwa Ali'i Beach Park. I don't know. Beach park names get kind of stupid after a while. But that was actually, there were people on the beach. There were more than I was expecting to see. It was, people were coming in and out. People were paddle boarding and lounging, tanning. So that was actually a pretty normal looking crowd. So I'd be curious to see what that crowd looks like on the weekend when maybe more people are in town. But that's all I have to say about Haleʻiwa.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. I know. That was my Kevin Allen 15. But do you guys have any questions about Haleʻiwa? Or?
No.
No?
But it'll be interesting to see what happens when the tourist industry here opens up and when people start coming back, which who knows when that's going to be. Because like you said, a lot of businesses are closing, they're shuttering, and I think new businesses will open up to replace them. But it just seems, I don't know. It's a weird feeling to walk around these areas, because I've walked around Haleʻiwa and Kailua since the state shut down, and you get this. It's sad in a lot of ways. We take advantage of it, obviously, because we're residents, and these are areas that we don't maybe frequent because of the visitors.
Yeah.
But I feel it feels weird,
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely, for as much as, a lot of residents and even myself sometimes, we despise the crowd sometimes. I mean, it's like every single day, but it doesn't feel right without the crowd when you go there and it's super uncrowded and just kind of empty, It's a little soulless without the big thrum of visitors who are all so stoked to be there, and I don't know, it's different. Matsumoto Shave Ice did not have a line. I had to mention that.
So weird.
So weird. Insane.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been a great podcast. Thank you all for joining us. Man, Kyla, do you want to do the end of the podcast shout-outs? Because you're kind of killing it recently.
Do it.
So thanks for tuning in to today's episode of How Aloha Will Travel. For more insider scoop and traveler tips, you can be sure to check us out on the web at hawaiimagazine.com and on all social media platforms at Hawaii Magazine. We're especially active on Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram. How Aloha Will Travel is available on all streaming platforms, and you can find the video version of this podcast on the How Aloha Will Travel YouTube channel, as well as on Facebook. Right now, you can check out our summer issue, which is still on sale on shelves if you happen to go out. It's called Summer Dreaming, and we'd really love if you picked up a copy. Thank you for listening, and be sure to come back and have a listen next time. Mahalo.
She's hired. Kevin, you're out.
Can we keep her?
You're out. Yeah.
Please
You're out. See that desk? Kyla, that's your new desk. Bye, Kevin.
Bye. Bye, everyone.